All right. Well, thank you everybody for taking some time out of this kind of crazy day. We've got intermittent furnaces happening here, intermittent internet happening here. So if at some point we cut out completely, I'm going to jump onto my hotspot and revive the meeting. So if that happens, just hang on and we'll be back online within a couple minutes. But yeah, otherwise, let's make good time here and make good use of a day that a lot of people are kind of checked out. So I appreciate you being committed to learn a new skill today. What I thought I'd do is just do a little bit of talking on my end to explain to you some of the concepts that we're talking about and how I've put them to use. And then after that, definitely open it up for questions and conversation. So if you're looking at your dashboard there, you can either mute or unmute yourself, and you can hide or show your video so that you can contribute. Yvette, if you can't hear anything, check your speakers. I know that there's some controls in there. So check your speakers and the settings in the dashboard, and that way you'll be sure to be able to hear us. Got it? All right, cool. Great. So we're going to talk about the private listing network. This is something that just came up, I don't know, maybe within the last 2 to 3 years. And I started using it within our sales team about a year and a half ago. Playing around with it first, and then eventually just made it a part of what we do every single time because of the fact that it is really helpful in us increasing our listing appointment conversion, maximizing our commissions, actually improving customer service, as well as getting more leads off of listings that we're already taking. It does all that for us. Let me make sure that I am sharing my slideshow with you here, and we'll get going. So the idea is to get more leads but make more money from using this tool that doesn't cost you anything. So there's really 2 different challenges or opportunities that this tool solves. So one of them is, let's go, Paul. Really, come on in. So there's 2 issues that this really solves for us, which is that when you go on a listing appointment, even if you've pre-qualified it, there are so many different objections or stalling or delay strategies that sellers say that revolve around timing. They often want to wait for something. They want to oh, well, we want to wait until fill in the blank time of year, or they want to wait until such and such happens. So the kids go back to school, the kids get out of school, so my daughter gets married, so whatever. They want to wait for something. A lot of times they want to wait to get the house ready, and frankly, a lot of times you want them to wait to get the house ready because you're like, look, we're not going live until you replace the boss carpet, right? So that's a good thing, and yet there's still that waiting period. The most concerning or troubling part about that is that in that waiting period between when you've met with them and spilled the beans on everything you got, everything you can do, everything it'll cost, in that waiting time period, they have time to find other options. And so, for the people here that have taken lots of listings, how many times does that happen? Had a great meeting, they're on board, they're just waiting for fill in the blank, and then eventually you see it in MLS, right? And you're like, what the heck happened? Right? So that's really the most troubling part of the whole waiting game is the increased risk that you won't actually get to help those people. And so that's one of the big challenges that this resolves. The other thing that it does, and actually the reason that my team started using this on every listing is because our listings were selling so quickly. Oftentimes they'd be under contract by the time they even hit the websites where we advertise them, because it'd be 2-3 days before they sync to the Zillows and the Realtor.coms and all those, and it'd be sold by them. So we would have no opportunity to get the benefit of marketing our listings, which we're paying for, and we've got all the systems in place for it, and we're getting nothing. So that's why we started doing this to begin with. And while inventory has softened up a little bit, we still do have a lot of listings that sell really quickly. And on top of that, all those other websites are selling advertisements to other agents on your listings, so you're not getting the leads, right? They have your listing there with 3 other agents named next to it. You got to scroll way down to the bottom in order to see who the listing agent is and contact them. Nobody does that. So one slightly hopeful thing is that so the agents that are with Keller Williams, we have the My Listings, My Leads policy, and so for Zillow, the most popular consumer real estate website, our name actually is next to listings, except so are 3 other agents too. So you don't have to scroll to the bottom of the page. There's still a lot of other names on that, and it hurts the number of leads that we can get off our listings. Now, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent suggests that off of every listing we take, we should be able to parlay that into one other transaction. Because of the fact that you're going to market that listing or do some prospecting around it, you should be able to get one more deal out of that sale. It could be another seller in the area. Maybe it's a buyer that inquired on it and bought another property. Maybe even they bought that property, although that's usually not how it works. But we need to make sure that we're protecting that because that's leveraging the work we've already done. And so the private listing network and the process we're going to talk about also helps with that issue as well. And we've seen a definite increase in leads through doing that. So those are the 2 issues that we're really going to talk about. And we're going to talk about these different categories here. We're just going to inform you what the private listing network is. I've got some screenshots in here about what it looks like, and we're going to input a listing or when you search within it. So we're going to cover that. We're going to go into the details of how you use particular listings, increase that listing conversion. We're going to talk about how the process about how to do that kind of coming soon marketing to get more leads off of the listings you're taking. And then we're going to talk about how you use this tool to actually protect your commissions and possibly even increase them. And lastly, we'll talk just real quickly about how to not go to realtor jail, because nobody wants to go to realtor jail, right? I don't know if that's actually in place. I've only been told, so can't tell you for sure. First off, what is this thing? Private listing network. It was there for a while before I even knew that it was there. So I forget who told me. And I was like, what's that? It is a different section of the MLS. And the way you access it, I have the classic view here just because of the fact that I still use that. I haven't migrated over to the modern view. But you can see here under the search, it's a totally different category. So it's not even in the detached, attached, all that. That's right here. And you may not even notice it. When you click on that, though, it'll bring you to a search page where you can search all the listings that are in the private network. So it's a separate section entirely. It's only visible to other MLS members. The only other brokers can see that. It's not advertised anywhere else. Consumers can't see it. It doesn't come up in their search results. You got to specifically go to private network to find anything that's in it. So why is that? Why did they put it there? Well, MLS rules say that brokers that are members of the MLS have to cooperate with other brokers. You can't keep stuff secret in hopes of selling it yourself and not share it with the rest of the broker community. That would invalidate the whole purpose of the existence of an MLS. That's what an MLS is for. Their rules say you got to put everything in MLS. At the same time, they know that there's some friction there because people they're not always ready to go straight into the MLS. So what do they do in the middle? Well, that's what the private listing network does. It allows you to get that listing into the MLS, fulfill your obligation there so you're not in violation of MLS rules. And when you put it there, that agreement says that you can actually go and advertise that listing publicly, anywhere in any way that you want, as long as it's in a private network. So that's what this tool does for us, and we're going to talk a lot about how to capitalize on that. But that's what the private network is. Does anybody have any questions about just understanding that before we move forward? If you do, you can speak up or you can type in the box. Kelly?
They have to agree, right? There's a series of questions.
Yeah, we're going to look at the form itself pretty soon here. And it's an addendum. It's a one-page addendum to the listing agreement. Seller signs it, agent signs it, managing broker signs it. They've got some choices in there. We're going to go through all that. But yeah, it is something that they sign. Other questions before we keep going? All right. Keep at it. So here are some of the features, or just some of the basic points for you to understand. As we already talked about, the listings are only visible to other MLS members, meaning other agents. Now, with those options that we talked about, I said they're going to get to choose some options. I'll show you on the form, and the way it shows up is you can check a box to say yes or no, agents can share this listing with their clients. So you can even say no, and then agents can't even tell anyone about it. It's just there for compliance. Or you can let them share it. You can choose whether you even list a price. You don't have to list a price. Now, you have to have a price on a listing agreement, right? So you can't just have an undetermined price legally. However, if for some reason they don't want to advertise the price yet, they think they might change it before you go to market or something, you don't even have to put it in there. You can choose whether to allow showings. There's a box. You check yes or no. We can do showings. So if the house is destroyed and they're getting it together, maybe you don't do showings. If it's more like, well, we're ready to sell it, except there's just some other logistical issues, we're waiting for Susie to graduate, then okay, we can allow showings, and that way you just work on any showings manually. You can choose whether or not you list an anticipated activation date. If you know when it's going to go live, you can put that in there. Or as much information as you want. So you can really in here in just 5 minutes. If you didn't put much in other than just compensation info and the address, it would probably take you 60 seconds. So it's really, really easy. You get this in there for compliance reasons and then go and do some marketing. So here's an example of when you go into the MLS and you go to that private section and then you run a search for what's available. And I think I just put everything in Cook County. It's over 1,000 listings came up in the private network in Cook County. By the way, this isn't in the presentation. However, in a limited inventory market, you may want to think about benefits this presents for your buyer clients, right? So if your buyers are, especially if they're looking for something really specific area or something like that, and they just aren't finding it, you can get a read on what's going to be coming live by here. But this is what the search screen looks like. And you can see it's not even separated out by property type. It's just all, it's all private status. It lists the property types there, but it's all one category. So if you click on one of them, I happen to find one that was listed by Ron Luxler, so I went ahead and grabbed that. So I guess that may be why Ron's not on the webinar. But this is what it looks like. I highlighted some of the fields that I mentioned. You can see they did put a price in there. They didn't. You can even list a range. It says minimum list price, maximum list price. I don't know how that works as far as this time. That's not I'm not the managing broker here, so we're not going to go there. But you can list a price or not. You can list an activation date or not. They didn't list one. You can put whether or not to share with clients. They just left that blank. You don't have to fill out any of this stuff. That's why it's so easy. You can put in remarks or you can not put in remarks. But this is what it looks like. So it's just a bare bones kind of listing. Just wanted to show you that so you kind of see what it is. When you go to add a listing, when you want to put a listing into the private network, you click on your listings button and then you click add new listings. And I just want to show you this page on the bottom. So that's how you put one in there. So those are just I just wanted to show you some screenshots of what this looks like in MLS so that you know where to go to find it and just kind of understand where things are at. Now, I do want to clarify an important difference. There's a different form that often gets confused with this one, and it's called the MLS Listing Exemption Authorization Form. And that is a different thing entirely. What that form does is it allows you to get a listing signed and then not put it in the MLS at all. The difference is, because it's not in the MLS, you can't advertise it. So if you use that form, the MLS Listing Exemption Authorization Form, you can have a valid listing agreement. It can be active. You're exempt from the part that makes you, the MLS rule that makes you put it in MLS, but you can't advertise it. So it's really not a benefit. And the form itself, actually, the whole thing is basically there convincing the seller not to sign it. It's really it's like, just so you know, there's an MLS. Just so you know, that's how pretty much all properties are sold. Just so you know, you're telling me that you don't want it in there. The whole thing is just selling them against the idea. There's pretty limited opportunity to use that form or that structure, and it doesn't provide any of the benefits that we're talking about. So just know that when you go and find this form, that's another reason to use that one. Always make sure you're grabbing the Private Listing Network Authorization Form. We're going to show that to you in a second. So the difference is that Private Listing Network Authorization Form, it enables you to complete additional marketing activities beyond what's normally expected. So the seller absolutely wants to sign it because you're going, hey, we're not going to wait. We're not going to wait to start looking for your buyer. We're going to start now. And so instead of the other forms telling them on the fact that, hey, you need to put in the MLS and you're not to do that. So that would be the difference between these two forms. This whole idea is a win-win, win-win-win-win all around. So it's definitely a bonus for the seller. I split the form into two just so you can see it largely enough, especially because for those of you that are chiming into the webinar here, you can grab this out of the form section of the MLS. And I printed up some copies here, except they're still supporting. Fix that up. This is what it says. You just put the listing agreement date, the seller and the brokerage name, and the property address. And then here it just goes through. Here's what the MLS is. Here's what the private network is, telling you it's a limited pool of buyers, because the idea isn't to just keep it in there. It's just to do it like that before you go live. It says that all the other laws still apply, and that the marketing, it's not going to be advertised anywhere else just by putting it in private listing. Pretty straightforward. Here's the bottom half of the form. Here's where the seller gets to choose what options they'd like to do. So when you're sitting there at the listing agreement, you just have the conversation. You want to place a sign? I recommend you do. You have to put coming soon right around that. You can put a yard sign out there. And if 89% of buyers still come from yard signs, then why not? We get calls. Not a ton, except we do get calls on those things. People are looking at other homes in the neighborhood and they see coming soon. That's exciting. They're like, oh, that's a secret. They want to know about it. They call. The next option allows you to place advertisements and conduct other marketing activities. So other than a sign, what other advertisements could you do? We're going to go into that, but I always recommend they do initial that one. That's really part of the point of this. The third one is whether or not you're going to allow showings, which, I mean, it's not like you're going to get a storm of them. If you get a really qualified buyer and they want to come and see it, let's get them through there. And then lastly, this means that the property will go into the private network within 72 hours of this being signed. And then you can choose when it'll go live. So it'll be for a certain period of calendar days, or you can put a specific date, or we can just say that it's only going to be in private network. That last option, again, doesn't give us the benefit of more leads, so you require pretty specific circumstances. What we always do is we always check this middle one, and here we put 1 business day after photography, because we'll get the photos back from our photographer the next business day. It will be ready to go live. From now until then, we're going to have it in private. That's how we do it. You do it how you want. Broker signs, agent signs, seller signs. So that's the form. Anybody have questions about the form? Let's see. Kelly says, the first blank is the date the listing agreement is executed, not the date it begins. So, this is not happening. Oh, I got to go back to my other. Here we go. All right. So the first blank, exclusive marketing agreement, dating blank. So my suggestion on that is that the effective date and the date it's signed are the same. The reason being that you could have them sign it today and have it not be effective until next Friday, and then you couldn't even put it into private network until at least next Friday. I'm always saying, hey, sign it now, it's effective now. We'll get it into private network within 24 hours. We'll start now. So, Kelly, to answer your question, clearly you can tell at this point I don't actually know the answer because they're always the same date for me. So that's how I do it. Whether those, which one it's going to be, have those dates be different, I can answer your question. And then Sean, does this form have to be completed in order to use the private network? Yes, because it is a different portion of the MLS. So the other kind of statements here need to be conveyed to the seller in order to tell them that yes, your listing is going into this different part of the MLS. It's not going into the full live thing. If you didn't have this signed, if you just had the listing agreement signed, then you're still bound to all the other MLS rules, which means that listing has to be live within 72 hours. So yes, you do need to have this signed in order to use the private network. Any other questions about the form itself? All right, we will continue. So, the part that we're really here for. How do we put this into work? How do we use this to get more listings? It may not be evident yet. However, there's some real concrete ways that this has helped me take a lot more listings. Number one is right up front, it enhances your value proposition. How many agents out there are doing this? I can tell you for sure it's not many. I mean, it's part of the reason I'm doing this class. I often have people ask me about it. They haven't even heard, experienced brokers haven't even heard of what it is. So, and there was a point at which I was an experienced broker and I had no idea what this was, and it was there. So I can promise you not many people are doing this. And how many times does the seller say, well, why should I hire you instead of the other 2 million real estate agents in the country? Or the other 35,000 in our area, right? They always want to know, why are you different? I would want to know that as a seller too. And a lot of times we can cite some numbers, we can talk about ratios and sale to list price ratios and market times and all this stuff. And a lot of that, frankly, a lot of times I think it seems kind of advantageous to a seller. This is easy, this is concrete. We're going to start marketing the property now. Every other broker out there is going to wait. They're going to wait until Susie graduates from kindergarten before they even do anything. We might even have your property sold. How would that be? So that really is a concrete thing that a lot of times when you tell them that, you get a little eyebrow raise. Wow, nobody else has said that. Other agents don't know about this, don't know how to do it. So what I would do is I would include information about your coming soon marketing plan in your listing presentation for sure. You may want to allude to it in your pre-listing packet as well. So for those who might not know, your pre-listing packet is information you're going to deliver about yourself and your team prior to the listing appointment. You may not want to give them the full marketing plan in that. However, you can say, we have a complete coming soon marketing plan that we use to advertise your listing immediately instead of wait until everything's ready. They're ready and perfect to go live. And then in your listing presentation, you want to talk about this as a selling point because nobody else that they're meeting with is going to be talking about it unless it happens to be like you two, and then you won't be talking about it. Odds are, though, the other 35,000 people aren't in this room or on the webinar, so odds are they won't be talking about it. And yeah, what will you do differently? This is a really concrete thing that people can understand. You don't need to explain ratios to them. You don't need to, this is right there. We're going to start now. So I just put the script in here. Other agents are going to wait until the listing is live before they're out there and proactively looking for a buyer. I'll start tomorrow, and I might even have a buyer before we even plan to go live. It's happened before, and I can promise you it has. We've sold multiple properties this way, and we've had them under contract before we ever went live. Wouldn't that be ideal? Who's going to say no to that? Yeah, we're going to have to deal with a bunch of showings. We have a contract, and it's a pretty easy explanation. We get it. You don't have. This is not a technical thing. We're just going to start now. Just sign this one form. It allows us to start looking for your buyer now. Do you guys have any questions about using this as part of your value proposition? Well, how long it takes to go live is a matter of what it is they're waiting for. Sometimes if they're like, we're going to get the photographer out here now and we're going to go live within 3 days, I might not even have a chance to really get it, advertised and things like that. So we may just go straight to live with it. But if they go, hey, we're having this done and that done, and we're waiting for the job transfer to happen, and so we want to go live 4 weeks from now. Well, we'll book the photographer for that minus a day, and then we'll get it in the private network today. Yep. So you can start working and you can start advertising. Yep. Yep.
But usually it has to be in the time this is done. Right?
Yeah. So the MLS rule for listings in general says that after all parties have signed, and for clarity, that means the seller, the agent, and the managing broker. So after the last of those has signed, within 72 hours, it's got to be in the MLS. Now, that means it's got to be live in the MLS, or if you have the private network authorization, it can be in the private MLS. Either way, it's got to be in there within 72 hours of the last signature in there.
it already go by your broker. In the meantime, you jump right in and start marketing whatever they need to.
That sounds like an auction managing broker.
Great things for we do this, we just do it.
Sure. Yeah. That sounds like more of a compliance question, and this is a recorded webinar, so I'm not. All right, let's see. Who else we got here? Kelly says, Sean, posting listing agreement doesn't want to be able to use the private network. Yeah, Sean, glad you asked that. So back to the other question about, well, hey, if we sign it today, it says it's effective next Friday, can I market it in between? No, you can't. You can't put it in private. You can't market it. I mean, that agreement, all the stuff that agreement says you can do and the seller's authorized you to do, hasn't started yet. So the way to do that, the way to begin with the private network and all the other marketing activities, get this one-page sign. Super easy and easy to explain. And sellers, I mean, sometimes they have a question about how it works, but at the end of the day, this allows me to start looking for a buyer now. That's the explanation. And nobody doesn't want to hear that. Yeah, that's how we do it now. Now, previously, I used to say, well, here, let's sign it today and have it be effective for when the house will be ready, right? Which would be, but I can't advertise it in the meantime. I can't leverage it to get more leads in the meantime, right? So sign it today, have it be effective today, get it in the private network today, start advertising today, and it'll go live when it goes live. Okay, Kelly says, nothing is passed on multiple showings. Yeah. I mean, if you can get it sold before you go live, everybody loves to hear that. And sorry, guys, I'm being asked to repeat questions that they can't hear your questions. I'll repeat your questions in the future. Okay, Sean says, does the 72-hour list rule apply to private listings too? Yes, that form does say that that we've got to have it in the private network 72 hours after the last signature hits that agreement, whether it's the seller or the broker. Generally, it's going to be the managing broker. So within 72 hours of that, get it in there. I wouldn't wait. I mean, personally, I get it in there immediately. It's really fast to get into private. So, I'm waiting for the thing to come back through that loop with the broker signature. Get it into private. It'll take you 60 seconds. Now you can start marketing it because get some ads out there and start attracting buyers. Any other questions right now before we keep going? We're going to talk more about how it's going to help you get more listings. This part's just about enhancing the value proposition. This is how you show the seller. Other brokers don't do this than I do. So now let's talk about how this helps you get it signed at the appointment. Because again, when they have that "I want to wait" feeling, they usually go, "Well, I just don't want to sign. The benefit, and why should I sign today if nothing else is going to happen?" Well, this says you're going to sign today, and something else is going to happen. We're going to start immediately. So the way that you use this tool to get signatures at the appointment is you leverage FOMO. You're missing out. If you're missing out on the right buyer for their home. And that's really what this is about. So they tell you, well, we want to wait for whatever it is they say. It doesn't matter. You go, we can sign now to include this one-page addendum. You can show it to them. It's just one-page addendum. Allows me to start proactively looking for buyers now without fully putting your home on the market. So if I can't find a buyer by the time we were going to go live, we go live, everything proceeds as normal. In the meantime, you're not accumulating days on market. It's still going to show up as a new listing. Nobody's going to think it's been out there a while or anything like that. And we make a buyer by the time that happens. So that's one way to explain it. And sometimes if they still aren't sure, they don't see the value or they get a little, skeptical about it. A lot of times they'll even say when there's something unique about their house, they'll say, well, we just need the right buyer. Right? Now, a lot of times I'm going, well, what does that even mean? Except here we can use that and run with it. We say, well, yeah, exactly. So we need the right buyer. And so what if while we're waiting for Susie's graduation to come up, the right buyer is actually out in the market today? What if they're out there right now, settling for a house that they don't like as much as they like yours? What if that's the buyer that would give you the most for your house, and they're going to go settle for another house because they didn't know that yours was here? Just let that hang out there, and they're going to go, wow, yeah, you're right. No additional cost of doing this. There's literally no downside. There's no downside whatsoever. No drawback the seller's ever told me. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Bad idea. Never heard of it. So it really is that fear of missing out. And you got to give them the what if. Well, what if that buyer's out there today? Couldn't that be possible? Couldn't that buyer be out there today? I know I had it happen before. It actually wasn't anything to do with the private network. However, as to demonstrate that this does happen, there was a listing that we have. It was in Monique. Kind of a unique property on a lot of land with a big lake. I mean, it was at way top of the price range in that area. So we're like, oh, wow, I don't know. This might be a tough sale. Well, the photos came in like Saturday morning, and I had the opportunity to go and activate it right away. And immediately after we activated that listing, we get like flooded with calls from one guy. He was like on the website, on Facebook, he was calling us. This one guy was going crazy about this property. So long story short, we got him in the property, and he wrote a cash offer for close to list price. And the story was, when we talked to him, that he had actually written an offer on another property that he was settling for because he had a timeline that he had to hit, and there was nothing else out there that really was what he was looking for. And he hadn't offered, and I think at that time they hadn't sent the offer out on this other property when this one popped up. It was a matter of hours. So how do you know that the buyer for your house isn't out there right now? So what questions do you have about this part of it, about using this script to get signatures? Let's see. Oh yeah, if you're not talking, if you want to mute your mic, some of the people are saying that there's a lot of noise. So go ahead and mute your mics if you're not asking questions or anything. I don't want to mute you because then if you want to ask a question, I won't know. Yvette says, does that add to the market time when it goes live everywhere? No, it's not. So that's nice. Christine, how do you handle the objection? The buyer presented himself. What's that? They're not ready. Well, if they're signing a listing with you, then they're to some degree ready to sell the home. And what I always tell them is if it's a matter of waiting for a specific closing date, if they're coming in early and, it's this whole pre-market thing, you have full control of this process. You can say, well, hey, the seller wasn't quite ready to go live. We need to close by such and such date. If they're not okay with that, they can take a hike and, you don't sell the house to them except what have you lost? In fact, you may be able to take that person and sell them another house. So you've gained.
They're still holding out on signing this, that when we start digging into, sometimes when this happens, there's another agent. Is that what's going on here? It helps us find out what the deal is.
So it sounds like Kelly may have possibly reviewed the next slide in that presentation. So for those on the webinar, he's talking about how this can actually get you to real objections that they're not telling you about, and we are going to talk about that. But yeah, you can control the timeline. If the house isn't ready, you can control the showing. Everybody knows this is a super secret coming soon listing, and nobody's going to have a problem if they can't get into it. All bonus. Everything about this is bonus. Well, the listing expiration date is still going to be on the listing. As far as when it moves from private to active, it's just whatever you put in that form. We say one day after photography because that's how we do it, but you could put a specific date or whatever. It's all dictated by the agreement between the seller and the broker. So if they say, hey, we're ready to go now, go ahead and do it. You check with your managing broker if there's any complaint, if you got to get a listing modification form signed or something like that. That's a compliance thing. That's an easy one though, right? They want to go live sooner, great, let's do it. Yeah. Okay, any other questions on this before we keep going? Then we shall keep going. So, as I mentioned, Kelly was cheating, may have been snooping around my computer before the presentation started here, because the other thing that helps you get more listings is that because this eliminates so many of the objections that sellers use to kind of bluff a little bit, there's some other reason that they're not ready to move forward and they're not telling you, so they tell you they want to wait. this helps you eliminate all that because you take the whole weighted objection off. So if after all of this, after all of like the explanations about why it's all bonus, it's all benefit to start this early and sign now, if after that they still won't sign, I can promise you there's another reason they're not signing. So have a commission objection, they're interviewing other agents and they're not telling you about it. Maybe they're concerned with something that you said or didn't say and they don't want to bring it up, or they just flat out don't like you. I know for some of us it's a little hard to swallow. However, if I mean, honestly, let's just say that's the case, because some people rub people the wrong way. But if they don't like you, are they going to be like, you know, we appreciate your time, we just don't like you? They're not going to say that. Nobody will ever say that. What they'll say is, well, we need to think about it. We need to wait. Now, especially if you've done a pre-qualification and you've called prior to the listing appointment and gone through and asked that one question that's the most important, assuming everything I say makes sense and you feel comfortable, are you prepared to sign the listing agreement when we meet on Thursday? And they say yes, and then you get to the appointment, you do the appointment, ask them, and they say no. Well, I got news for you. It's something that you said or didn't say that they weren't expecting, and they've changed their mind. So this is how you find out. You take all the BS off the table about wait for this, wait for that, and you find out what the real objection is. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that it's one you can overcome. If they don't like you, they're not going to hire you no matter what. However, you do have another opportunity because of this to find out what the real objection is, because the only objection you definitely 100% can't handle is the one that never comes up. If they never tell you, you see it in MLS next week. So this is how you get them to tell you what it is. You're gonna have to get real with them and go, look, there's got to be something else. So you're gonna have to kind of have that kind of talk with them. This allows you to have that opportunity. Any questions about that? All right, let's keep going. So that's how it helps you get more listings. Hopefully you guys can see that is very real. I can promise you it has helped me get way more listings signed at the table, have their commitment, and now they're not going to shop me. I mean, it really, really, really helps. It also is going to help you get more leads. So we talked a little bit about how it can be tough when, just given the circumstances of these other websites and the way they advertise, plus if you're selling listings quickly, there really isn't much of an opportunity to do open houses. Have it sit out there for inquiries to come in. Your sign says under contract. All the websites says under contract. People aren't inquiring about it. So this allows you to get more leads by executing a systematic coming soon marketing plan on every single listing, unless it's going to go live in 2 days, right? You don't have time to have it. But you just systematize this whole thing. You just use a checklist and build a checklist with all the marketing activities that you're going to do, which may be different than what we do or what some other person does. No matter what, it's got to start with entering that listing into the private network. It has to start there. You can't do any other marketing. You can't even post on your Facebook page until you put it in the private network. It has to be there first for compliance. We put it in the private listing network. Then we'll have a coming soon sign ordered right away with a for sale sign with a coming soon rider ordered right away. Then we're going to post it to social media. Now, usually what I'll do is I'll either grab like the assessor's picture, which yes, the assessor photos are garbage. It's better than nothing. Or I'll take a picture of the house as I walk out, before I get into my car. I'll take a picture. It doesn't work well if it's a night appointment and it's dark outside, which is why sometimes we have to use the assessor's photo. But grab one picture of it. It doesn't have to be a professional picture. This is all bonus. Remember, this is all bonus. That way you have a picture, just a front photo that you can use to market that listing starting right away. So you post it on your social media accounts. You post it in our office Facebook group. You expose it to all the other agents that are out there. There's other Facebook groups, like real estate related groups where it's like, Chicagoland Open House and other community pages. You can post it to all that stuff. You can advertise it anywhere now that it's in the private network. So you post it everywhere you can post it. Now this is the really powerful one. You're going to enter the listing manually into the Keller Williams listing script. Have you do this yet? Okay. So what we were doing for a little while is, we'll manually enter it onto like Zillow, so it's out there on the internet. Right? Except Keller Williams Listing Service syndicates our listings to over 340 real estate websites. And you can't in MLS, in the MLS remarks, you can't say in the remarks, call Kelly Clue or Keller Williams. You can't do that. You can't brand it. You can't do that. You can, though, in the Keller Williams listing service, because that's syndicating it to other websites. They don't have those same rules as the MLS, because it's not other brokers' clients that are viewing it through their broker looking at your branding. It's just out there to the public. So you can put it in the KWLS, one place, right? You're not going to have to go and enter it into every website. You put it into one place. You include branding right at the front of it. Coming soon. For more information, call Kelly Clued at such and such. And then that's going to get put onto all the, Zillow, Realtor.com. I don't know, maybe Redfin will pick it up. All the other competitors' websites and everything. It's going to distribute this listing everywhere with your branding, your phone number. Now, they can't sell ads on that. They're selling ads on what's coming from MLS. They're not selling ads on this stuff. So this is your branding and your listing. Almost everywhere it's advertised, even when it's fully live. Branded photos, yeah. So you can use branded photos through Keller Williams Listing Service as well. And then, your little watermark with your contact information and branding will come up on those pictures everywhere else as well. So that is a huge thing that you can do. And that is, talk about leverage, you put it into one place and all those leads, anyone that wants to know about that, they're going to come straight to you. You can also conduct a sneak preview open. Right? Now, you may not get as much traffic if it's not marked in the MLS, right? Because some people find out about the open houses in the MLS. If you've got it marked in the Keller Williams Listing Service, it's going to show up on all the other websites that people know about. You can still boost a post on Facebook. You can still put out your open house signs, your directionals. You can put an ad in the paper and hang one up on the back. You can do it any way you want and do a coming soon sneak preview open house, right? Absolutely. Great for geographic farming. Right. Yeah, a lot of people will use that sort of open house to target the neighbors, specifically looking for sellers. They'll say, hey, come see your neighbor's house, right? And everybody's like, oh, let's come see your neighbor's house. Yeah, so that's a good thing you can do too. You can, if you do open house, and if you don't do open houses, don't put that in your coming soon marketing. If you do them, heck yeah, put it in there. And you can even get on the phone, call around the neighborhood and say, hey, we just listed a house. You may know your neighbors at such and such address. It's going to be going live soon. I wanted to let you know before it hit the market that it's a nice little intro that you can use to talk to people, just make cold calls around the neighborhood. So what questions do we have about this slide here? Got some questions here. Branding, yes. If it's in private network, we have to put it in separate to KWLS in order to go to the other sites. Yes, whoever you are. If you put it in the private network, remember that private network authorization form says it's not going anywhere else. When you put it in active in MLS, the other feeds that pick up from MLS are gonna grab it. In the private network, nothing else is gonna grab it. It's this little secret, closet in the basement. The listings go to be compliant. That's where the private category is. So yes, you put it there. Nothing else automatically happens to with it or to it. And so then you want to go and advertise it however you see fit outside of that. What are the questions about this slide here? So there's a part of this presentation that I didn't really go into a whole lot of detail about, what do you do then after that? So when people call you or email you off of your coming soon marketing, you service the lead. I think we know what to do from there, right? I mean, I'm not going to go into that. It's not a lead generation class, in that general of a student. So, service leads. They might buy that property. I've had that happen. They buy that property. We've also had it happen where they don't want that property. It got us a conversation. It got us an intro. And actually, people are going to appreciate that you're doing extra work to represent your clients. So it's a good introduction. It's a good lead. If they don't like that one, you sell them another house. So when the leads come in, you service leads. Good? All right. So how does this help you increase your commission? This one is a little bit less obvious. The other ones, it's a little clearer to see, but here's a couple of ways that it's helped me to increase my commissions. Well, for me, it wasn't increased. It's more about, maintaining and not having as many objections about our commission rate. because, you know, we're not the cheapest out there because we do extra work, we do, right? So how do you justify it? Well, part of it is what we talked about earlier, which is you've got that concrete value proposition that's different. You are going to do more work than the other agents. People have an easier time agreeing that they'll pay you a little bit more because you're going to do more in a way that they can easily understand. The other part is you're getting them to sign at the listing appointment. So tell me, how often does this happen? You went to the listing appointment, they didn't have a commission objection, they didn't sign, you continue your follow-up, and at some point, now they have a commission objection. That happens, right? Why? That's right. They didn't have their listing appointment and then keep that secret from everybody in their lives. They're talking to their friends. Oh, I met with such and such. Oh, tell me about the agent. Well, oh, yeah, what was his commission, right? Oh, we only paid such and such. Or did you know that there's a place that they'll just charge you like a flat fee? You know, and so all of a sudden, because you didn't have them sign at the listing appointment, now all the other information around them is going to infect whatever you told them. They're going to get all the other ideas, including commission, but also including other marketing activities that they have heard someone else did that don't work. And they're going to come back to you and ask you to do them. They're going to come back to you and ask you to reduce your commissions. Except if you've gotten it signed at the appointment, they're done. They're not exploring options. They're not shopping you around. They're committed. They signed it. They're working with you, and there's no point in them going and rehashing it. So they don't. So in that way, because you're getting it signed at the listing appointment, it'll help you protect your commission. And you know, frankly, a lot of people I hear they go, "Well, I don't know if I can charge more than typically charge." Well, you should be able to feel comfortable charging a higher rate if you're going to do other work that they don't do. So get over it, you know, and this is the way that you can get over it. So it definitely helps in that way. And then the other way is that this is going to increase the odds that you actually receive a full commission on property, because I don't really have hard numbers on this. I would tell you from my experience, though, it seems like when people are inquiring on the coming soon ads, they're more interested in that specific property than they are when they inquire on other random listings they're on. I don't know. Maybe it's about how they had to find it, if they had to be real specific in their search or something like that. But I would say we've sold way more homes private to the buyer that inquired on that listing than we have active listings where a buyer inquired on that listing. You know, actives, they inquire on the listing and turns out it's not the right price point, it doesn't have a basement. There's some reason they don't buy that house. I've seen a pretty fair number of them buy the house that they inquired about with the private one. So however you structure that, you might structure it as dual agency, or you might structure it as no agency to the buyer. Again, we're not going to get into the compliance details. You can do it either way, as long as you're doing it ethically and given the proper disclosures. But either way, no matter whether you do dual or no agency, you're getting the full commission. It's pretty nice. You know, let me tell you something. It's not much work. When it's one agent involved and two parties that you're directly in contact with, it is not as much work to close that deal as when someone's represented by another broker. You have more control over the transaction. You know what both parties are doing. You know, and a lot of times you even can refer them to multiple different. You know, here, you use this attorney, you use that one, you use this lender. Yeah, so it's a lot easier to do that. Your dollars per hour is going to go up. So because of that, because you're going to get those leads, you have better odds of actually converting those on that listing and getting full commissions. Let me tell you, those checks are a lot nicer than when you get one-sided commission. So those are a couple ways that can help you maintain or increase your commission rates. I'm looking to see what questions we have on this. Yeah, Sean says 7%. Well, here's the deal. You can charge a higher rate because you're doing work they're not. You know it works. I mean, if you don't believe it yourself yet, I'm promising you right now, I'm not making this stuff up. We've been doing this for 1.5 years. It works. And we might have your property sold before it even goes up. So, yeah. How about that? Any other questions on using this tool to protect and increase your commissions? All right, we'll keep going. There's not a whole lot left to go here. The topic we've all been waiting for. How do you not go to realtor jail? First of all, does anybody know where that is? I don't know where it is. I think what we're talking about is primarily like arbitration. Right, yes, over tropical. I think we're talking about like arbitration and ethics complaints and like, you know, yeah. Oh, you have? Oh, interesting. Visited. Just visiting. Okay. So whatever it is that Realtor Jail represents in your mind, and it's pretty simple. You just don't conduct any public advertising of your listings unless and until it's in the MLS somehow, either active or private. Well, yes. Yes. Yeah, and you put it in there until the broker signs because it's not valid listing until the broker signs. So it's got to be in the at least private MLS before you do any other advertising. So if you are getting listings signed and not putting them in MLS, and going and posting that they're coming soon on Facebook, you perhaps could not do that anymore. And instead, get the private network private authorization signed and then continue doing what you're doing. Private listing network authorization is an addendum to the listing agreement. It's part of the listing agreement. That's why it's signed by the same parties as the listing agreement is. And so because of that, you're bound by the same laws of getting that document back to the seller once your broker signs it. Same way you are with a listing agreement without it. Once they sign, 24 hours, you got to get it back to the seller. Same deal here. It's with the listing agreement. All got to go as one. Get it back to them, get them a fully signed copy. You're going to want to avoid breaking other laws. There are other laws beyond these. Believe it or not, it covers all sorts of different topics. You should not break those laws. And lastly, if you are just a nice person, you probably won't go to Realtor Jail. Probably. What questions do we have about this topic? So Sean, check Sean out asking all the broker questions. She asked, as long as you don't identify the property, instead just post maybe the street name and the fact that it's coming soon, is that okay? She's asking for a friend. And Sean, you're gonna have to tell your friend to ask their managing broker, because to me that seems gray area. So I personally wouldn't do it unless I got clearance first. With that, I would check on that first. Frankly, I don't know why you wouldn't just get the thing signed. Just get the private network signed and then go advertise it freely, street address, everything you want. I just get it signed and go, and then you can advertise everything. Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, this is not the sort of document that you're going to add into your listing package. It's going to be a tough sell. And guys, they love to hear this. They're like, so wait, you're going to do more stuff. You're going to start now, and we might have better than expected results. Right. Yeah. This is not a tough sell. This is an easy one. They're going to want to sign it. They're going to be more excited when you include this in your listing presentation than they are without it. So just get it signed. And then we don't even have to ask now we don't have to pepper our managing brokers with questions because it's got this addendum signed. Right? All right. So let's keep moving. Excellently advanced way. So in summary, just to kind of put a bow on all this one simple document is going to enhance your value proposition and set you apart from other agents. It's going to erase all of your timing-related objections, and it's going to help you get to the real ones when there are hidden or secret objections. It's going to help you increase your listing appointment conversion. We're not even talking about more work here. We're talking about you're going to get better results from the same work you're already doing because more of the people are going to sign at the table. Less follow-up time, less risk of them coming back to you with issues, less risk of them talking to more agents after they meet with you. So it's going to increase your conversion and therefore your income. It's going to help you put a coming soon marketing process in place so that you can receive more leads than the listings you're already taking at no additional cost. It's going to close more transactions with a full commission. If right now you're getting 0 of those, you might be 1 or 2 of them, great. That adds up pretty fast in this case. And lastly, it helps you protect and or increase your list side commission rate. So this one simple thing that costs you nothing and is only a benefit to your clients has all these benefits to you too. So I've loved using it over the last year or so. I would love to get your final thoughts on this in kind of 2 contexts. If you'd like to share an aha, something that you'd like to just speak out so you can ingrain it in your memory. If you'd like to share an action step, I'm really interested in hear, what's a concrete thing, even if it's just one thing that you might do today or tomorrow to implement what you've learned today And then also, if you have any other questions, let's just go into kind of Q&A mode and Q&As and ahas and action steps. Talk. For those in the room, I'll repeat what you say into the. What did you learn? What are you going to do? All right, Sean is going to. Sean's aha was the document itself. She wasn't aware of it. She's going to add it into the pre-listing package and add some bullet points about coming soon market. That's great.
So towards us and saying, hey, well, you know, we're really not ready, but if you already going to be in presentation, you're like, and you just say, okay, if you're not ready, then we have another option that we do is go to private district network, is the and then some marketing piece around it. Now you've already isolated objection that you may get to secure the listing.
Yeah, they say in bold that if you keep getting the same objection, change your presentation to preemptive, right? And so this is the part of your presentation where you can preempt the whole category of I'm going to wait objections. Right?
So our thing is that we've already created a goes live on Monday. We're working on that 1 week plan, right? So whenever you sign it, we're going to officially launch it Monday and it can house on the following weekend. So there's this whole system. And it was to allow us time to properly market it and really launch it and all that and any other benefits. We were using this kind of part of that, and not like as such a focal point. I think it's everything. And the part I didn't understand before or think about is how to put it in the connectMLS and get that. We weren't doing that, but we were missing a lot of the true coming through traffic.
Okay.
And it was still working for us to get things signed all day long. I mean, there's all the benefits except we weren't generating a lot of leads. So that part was awesome because, you know, the minute we get excited, I think we're going to watch in that day. So we can, you know, launch social media, you have flyers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. So Kelly's going to incorporate this into, they're already working on process for kind of standardizing or systematizing the way that you take in listings and then get them moving. So this will become a part of that. And then the KWLS and the fact that that's going to increase your lead flow at no additional cost. And then just moving quickly to get broker signatures and get it in there. Awesome. Action item is to call his assistant today. Cool. Christine says, difference between the MLS exemption form versus the private listing network, definitely. And Kelly's is that if you're missing out on the right buyer, definitely. That is the thing that will get the sellers on board if they have any concern. What if we're going to miss that buyer? All right. Anything else? Final questions? Final action items? Ahas? All right. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for checking in on a tough day, and hope you got some out of it. And feel free to reach out to me later on if you have any questions that we didn't answer or you're running into any issues that I can help. I'm great.